If I had to point to one item that got me started hunting for and restoring old tools, it would be the Yankee push drill. As a kid growing up, my dad always had a Yankee push drill like this Model 46 in his shop. The bits were stored in the handle. It was the cordless drill of its day. If you don't have one of these, I recommend getting one. They are available on eBay, but I usually can find them super cheap at flea markets and yard sales. Here's a newer Stanley Yankee 41Y. This is probably the most common model you'll find. To access the bits, you loosen this knurled collar and the spring-loaded handle pops open. The bits have a notch in the base and a divot in the side. You pull back on the spring-loaded chuck and insert the bit so that the notch engages in the chuck. When you release the chuck, a ball bearing is pressed into the divot on the side of the bit. The bit is locked in. It can't pull out or turn. I picked up this older North Brothers Model 41 at a flea market for $1. Instead of being spring-loaded, the chuck turns to lock in the bit. To get this push drill operating smoothly, I would probably only have to clean up the chuck with some mineral spirits and put a few drops of oil down the oil hole. As far as a restoration goes, these are hard to make pretty again because the tool was nickel plated. The handle is nickel over steel and the shaft is nickel over brass. The nickel plating is very thin and fragile. I can wire wheel the handle knurling to make it brighter, but any work I do on the shaft will expose more of the brass underneath. These push drills can be cleaned up without any disassembly, but I thought it would be interesting to pop this one apart to see what's inside. I don't think there are many sources online showing how to disassemble one of these. The upper shaft and handle assembly is held on by this cross pin. I made a simple fixture out of a 2x4 to hold the tool while I drove out the pin. The chuck assembly was held in the lower shaft by this small set screw. Once the screw was out, the chuck just pulled out of the shaft and the helix wound its way out. The drill bit magazine had a spring under it to expose the bits for easy access. Here's the push drill disassembled. I decided not to attempt further disassembly on the chuck. I suspected some pieces were swaged together. I cleaned all of the parts with mineral spirits. I used different size gun bore brushes to help clean the parts. I don't have an air compressor in my basement shop, so I use the canned air that's used for electronics. I used the fine wire wheel to clean up the steel parts. And I used the Dremel to, look out Magdad! And I used the Dremel to clean up the bit magazine. I switched to a brass brush to clean up the knurled rings. I used a light touch to preserve as much nickel plating as I could. I went over the shafts with superfine steel wool, again with a light touch to preserve what was left of the nickel plate. It took me a couple of tries to reassemble the parts smoothly for the video. It was a straightforward job. The trick was to know what to jiggle and what to twist. I use my 2x4 fixture to hold everything while I tap the pin back in. Here's the push drill reassembled. I oiled it with 3-in-1 oil. It works great. North Brothers Manufacturing Company started out in 1880 as a brass and iron foundry. In 1897, they purchased the Forest City Screwdriver and Drill Company of Portland, Maine. Along with this acquisition, North Brothers entered into an agreement with Zachary Furbish, superintendent and person in charge of R&D at Forest City, to continue this same role at North Brothers. From 1895 until 1908, Mr. Furbish was awarded 35 U.S. patents, mostly pertaining to ratchet mechanisms, tool holding chucks, and the spiral shafts associated with the Yankee screwdrivers and push drills. I think it is amazing that one man was responsible for so many innovative products. Unfortunately, Zachary Furbish's life was cut short by alcoholism. He died at the age of 56 in 1906, 1 year after being awarded the prestigious Philadelphia Franklin Institute's John Scott Award for his contributions to science and technology. North Brothers was acquired by Stanley in 1946. Stanley retained the Yankee trademark and continued to manufacture spiral ratchet screwdrivers and push drills into the early 2000s. I have a few different models of the Yankee push drill. These are all Model 41s. The patent for the number 41 dates back to 1901. This is a Model 44 and features an adjustable spring tension. This was supposed to allow the user to fine-tune for different size drill bits. The bit storage was redesigned to make room for the adjustment mechanism. The Model 45 and 46 had plastic handles with a screw-off cap to access the drill bits. This number 46 was made in England. The number 45 is my favorite design and is my go-to cordless drill in my shop. Another push drill you might run into is the type that uses these splined bits. This one is marked Sears and this one is Craftsman, but I think they were both made by Miller's Falls. The bits for these are made differently than the Yankee bits and are not interchangeable. In my opinion, every home shop should include a Yankee push drill, the original cordless drill. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Here's 3 recent tool hauls I posted on Instagram. This is the haul I brought home from the January Jacktown Snow Show. The Stanley $2.99 utility knife cleaned up nicely. A coworker was cleaning out his parents' shed, and I got this pile for $30. I hope I didn't overpay. This last haul was tools that I saved from the dumpster at work. I think there might be a couple of gems in the pile.